Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to Lost in the Wasteland, my weekly interview show where I get to learn about a little bit more about somebody else's perspective on movies. And joining me, another film aficionado and film lover, we have Corey Skowronski. Thank you so much for coming on.
Shane, thank you, man. I'm excited to be here with you. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Always love getting to meet new people, chat movies. But before we get into the
Yeah.
questions, Corey, would you like to shamelessly plug anything where people can find you?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at what is it? Red Eye Films. That's where I do my little I don't even know what you would call them, doodles and whatnot with my reviews. Try to spice it up and make it a little bit more visually appealing.
There you go.
Play to my strengths, I guess we'll say. But yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I noticed I've been trying to share some of the stuff from my website, and it's like, check out the link in the comments, and it's just like, it won't let me paste anything. And
Mm.
I've noticed I think Instagram's trying to stop allowing you to paste things in the comments.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I know
it's
that's
been looking like it.
yeah, I know that's been affecting some people that I know who like put their reviews into the comments. I'm like, well, if you want that many thoughts from me, you could just go read my articles or watch it on YouTube.
Right. I know when I first started, I was just posting like the picture and I had the review on there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe I need to like put the actual words or like the review in the caption, maybe. So I started doing that. So,
Hey, there's a lot of different options to share
oh yeah.
thoughts on film at this point, whether they're like actual formed articles, videos on YouTube, TikToks, and all the different kinds of things you could do to Instagram.
Oh yeah.
So, it's an awesome time to being able to throw your thoughts out into the universe and hopefully people get pissed off at you. That's always the trade-off.
Right. Yeah. I'm just kind of at this point, I'm like, where do I live in this internet world of movie reviewing and all of that jazz? I think I found it
Absolutely.
a little
A
bit.
lot of people found it during COVID.
For
Filmstagram was
sure.
huge during COVID. And then people slowly started going back to like normal lives. And then it's just like some of us are just like, I still watch endless
I'm
movies.
holding on.
But let's hop on in, Corey, with,
Yeah,
you
man.
know, everybody's favorite question. What's your favorite film?
Oh, not to say, but honestly, probably I was thinking about this. Back to the Future 2. I'm gonna go with 2. It's the
Okay.
second one. I think when I'm thinking back to like just like being a kid and like finding Back to the
Mhm.
Future, it was always 2 that caught me. Obviously because of hoverboards. I think that's what
Yep.
did it. But I think I always remember I'm like, it gives you everything. It gives you the future, it gives you the past, it gives you the present.
Mhm.
It does it all. So Back to the Future 2 is where I'm at.
And it's pretty prophetic because Cubs did win a World Series and there is a team in Florida. So we got two.
They predicted
So
it, man.
we're not quite on what Jaws like 30 something
Oh yeah.
predicted that we'd be at. Um Jaws Revenge kind of killed that one.
Right.
But it's so weird to think that Back to the Future 2 took us to 2015. And then it's just
Oh,
like,
I think I
well,
can't.
we're almost 10 years past that now.
Right. I was
So,
watching a movie recently. I cannot remember. It might have been the one I just watched. It would that the Hell Comes to Frogtown just
mhm.
recently, and I think the furthest they went is 2022, and I was just like,
It's very interesting. Well, we finally got to Blade Runner here,
right.
like the original Blade Runner. Now they were like 2049. I'm like, well, we'll see if Vegas is a eerie green, orange cloudscape. Time
And
2020
I
49.
bet if you win now, it already is. I don't know.
Honestly, a lot of those things in 2049 is like we still have like 20 something years. It's kind of realistic at this point. So, but no, Back to the Future, the trilogy of them are just endlessly entertaining. And that second one, hey, it's like Biff turned into Donald Trump.
Right.
Um, which that's even more.
That's
Actually, that's
funny.
probably the most prophetic thing that happens in that movie.
I when was it? I think it was last year. I'll get further into it when we get deeper into our talk. But
Uh,
I was a few of my buddies and me. We were in Vegas for the night, and I made sure to book. What is it now? The Plaza Hotel. They're like, "Why did you pick that?" I'm like, "Guys, it's Bip's Hotel. We gotta
it's
stay there."
it's hotel. There you go. Now, Corey, what's your earliest memory of going to the movies?
For me, I feel like I want to throw like a bunch out, but
Mhm,
the main one that hits me upside the head a lot is there we went to the drive-ins here.
mhm.
And at this point, it's the only drive-in theater in like the greater Phoenix area.
Okay.
And when we went, I was tiny and we saw a
Mhm.
white men can't jump.
Nice.
I just remember being in it was because it's just a big like asphalt,
Uh-huh.
piece of land. And I just remember being there. We had this tiny little white hatchback car and just throwing the blankets and pillows in the back and just
Mhm.
chilling for the night. That was a lot of fun. Uh, Even I'll keep going. What else
Yeah.
was there? I remember my mom, it was late at night and it was when Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out, and I just remember begging her to take me,
Mhm.
and unbeknownst to me, she took me to that, and that was awesome. Just me and my mom going to the film, that was great. And then another one I totally remember is when my dad took me and my sister to go see the first Spider-Man. That
Nice.
was awesome. Yeah.
I was definitely a Harry Potter kid, and 2001 was a special year of movies. Honestly,
Yeah.
especially like Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone coming out like
Crazy.
the same month.
Wild.
Um, just crazy time for fantasy, and then hat, hatching on to Harry Potter for another 11 years of
Right.
going to see all the movies and
Oh
reading all
yeah,
the books.
it's kind of going back to what we were saying before about like those midnight showings or like
Mhm.
those first screenings. And I remember I went. I can't remember which one. It was one of the Deathly Hallows, I think. And we went to the midnight showing, me and a couple friends, and it was like an event. Like the local high school marching band was there playing like Harry Potter
Crazy.
music. It was wild. It like it was crazy.
Those were interesting times when like the premiere films were actually at midnight. Uh
Right?
Honestly, I think the last midnight showing that I ever went to was probably X-Men Days of Future Past. And then
Okay.
ever since then I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go to the earlier showings that they have.
What it's
Because
like 8 o'clock now or something.
well, I think the craziest one was I went to a 4 p.m. showing of Godzilla King of Monsters. I'm like, this isn't like a preview screening at this point. This is the afternoon before. So they've gotten
Wow.
pretty crazy. They're even doing like some movies 3 p.m. preview screenings on Thursdays. I'm just like, wow, you all have a great you don't have to stay up until midnight,
Right?
wait in lines and
Right.
try to
Back in
grab a
my
seat.
day.
It's like my friends and I, 15 of us getting in line for Avengers 2 hours beforehand just so that we could all get seats next to each other.
Mm, gosh.
Yeah, it's very different now.
Oh
Well, in
yeah.
Spider-Man 2, I I think the first one I saw in theaters was Spider-Man 3 in
Okay.
'07, but I just can't imagine how special that would have been seeing that first Sam Raimi Spider-Man in a theater.
It was so good.
Something magical. That's why we love movies.
Right.
Now, getting into a couple of favorites here. So, Corey, what's your favorite genre of movies?
Easy answer would be horror,
Mm,
but honestly, I think that's kind of like second fiddle. I think my ultimate like favorite genre is just drama, but like with that sprinkling of romance. As crazy as this sound,
okay.
just something about like movies that like just make me feel
Mhm.
a certain way. Is like that's my bread and butter. Just when I find a
Awesome.
movie that just like, hey, now am I gonna cry right now? I'm like, this is great. So
Well,
probably those. I'm trying to think like offhand, just like movies. Oh man, I'm drawing such a blank. but they'll come to me, I'm sure.
Yeah, I like being able to just watch like a simple human drama that connects with you on a
Yeah,
deep emotional level. Like it doesn't have all the frills of
yeah,
everything else. And that's the thing too. Like I'm a big sci-fi, fantasy, western, like I love genre films, but like if a drama hits all the right buttons and really elevates itself, it's like that's where it like hits a special spot. And
yeah.
like you mentioned, like romance, it's like I love stuff like Brooklyn. That movie, just no matter how many times I watch it, like hits a little special place. And I actually read the book earlier this summer too, that it was based off of
All
for the
right, on.
first time. And I'm just like, you know, it hits in words too. And just being able to get those kinds of connections. So I could certainly understand that. Now, thinking like behind the camera, do you have any particular favorite filmmakers?
Yeah, so this was actually kind of tough because I
Mhm.
felt like I had well, it's like I had to really like deconstruct it. It's like, okay, well, what are my the big movies? What do I like? And I think I kind of have an oddball answer. But I think what's it? It's Spike oh gosh, Jones? Yeah, Spike Jones. I
Okay.
think is probably the one that when I first read the question, that was the one that came in my
Mhm.
head. I think just because of like his interest where he dabbles a lot is where
Mhm.
I come in. Obviously, her was freaking
Mhm.
awesome, and just the story that I mean that's a perfect example of just the drama with
Yep.
that romance included in there. But just all the other things that he does. I mean, I remember where I first got introduced to him was actually through a skateboard video. There's a Lakai team, Team Lakai, their skateboard
Mhm.
team, and he directed that. And just the opening credits to that he did, it's just like the team in certain like they're doing tricks over like 20 steps and like gaps and all this stuff, but it's all done in slow motion. And when they land the trick, the object that they're like either skating over
Mhm.
or jumping over, it just explodes. And like it was just so out there. I'm like, this is amazing. Like who thought like, oh
Spike Jones is certainly one of the most unique filmmakers out there, and he has had such an extensive career doing all different kinds of filmmaking. Because, like,
yeah,
obviously, he had a long career of doing music videos and stuff like that, and then making some of the weirdest movies. And just think about like John
yep.
Malkovich, and I'm a huge adaptation fan,
Oh god, that
and
movie's so good.
just the combination of Spike Jones, Charlie Kaufman, and Nick Cage is something that like created something special.
Oh yeah.
And two Nick Cages at that, which is even wilder. And so it's really funny because I am 100% a robophobe. I refuse to use Alexa or Siri or any of those things. I don't use AI,
Yeah.
and if I can help it. And I remember watching her for the first time and just being like, "This is my
This
nightmare,"
isn't scary. Yeah.
and I hated it. And then I got over it and watched it and like really processed it as the film that it's supposed to be, instead of me just being like, "Well, I falls in love with OS." It's like, get the hell out of here. And it's such a beautiful film.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, was Spike Jonze's last film that Beastie Boys
I
documentary?
think so, yeah.
Which also like that was a fun combination of both things in terms of like the music videos and connection with music and actually doing a documentary. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed that. I hope he circles back
Keeps
around and
going,
does some more
yeah.
films. But just the he's the kind of guy that, will pop up in, Wolf of Wall Street, along
Right.
with a bunch of other famous directors that just casually have small bit roles in that movie and offer to, if Leo sells a bunch of stocks, he'll do favors. Just such a fun, random scene. He's just like the manager of a strip mall
Right.
accounting firm. And just Spike Jones is such a fun character. and has made some really interesting films. Now, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I like to go off of that. I
Yeah.
think that's what I like most about him is that he's just he dabbles in so not in a bad way, but he dabbles in so many things. I
Yeah.
think it's just crazy. Like he'll do Being John Malkovich or Her, and then immediately turn around and like produce Jackass or something crazy like that. And it's just like this guy is all over the place, and I love it.
He's been here to have a fun time, and we
Right.
appreciate that. Now, thinking about in front of the camera, who are some of your favorite actors and actresses?
So I mean, yeah, adaptation, Nick Cage, by
Mhm.
far. Anything he does, like, um, just recently, it's blasphemy, but I finally watched Drive Angry, and I was like, oh my gosh,
Okay.
this is fantastic. um, but oh, you were gonna say,
I was just gonna say, I can't imagine Nick Cage not driving angry.
right?
I just, well, especially after watching Long Legs, I can't imagine him just
Oh gosh.
casually just driving like a normal human being.
That scene in Long Legs of him in the car. That's hit that he in Drive Angry he was getting ready for that role. That's
Yes, and Drive Angry's that scene for the
yeah,
whole entire movie.
exactly.
There you go.
But him, and then I think I just want to talk about him. I like the movies he's in. I like his acting, and I think what more specifically, I like his writing is Mark Duplass.
Okay.
Uh,
Yep.
I remember when I first saw the Puffy Chair, and I was just like, I love this movie. This is so great. Just it's so different, at least from what I was seeing at the time, and just felt cool. And so I really like him. Was that one he did recently? That language lessons. That
Oh,
pandemic film. Oh gosh, that was so great too.
I I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Um, who did he do that movie with?
Oh gosh, I'm drawing a
Um,
blank on it.
she's great too. The two of them were so interesting together.
Yeah.
And then of course he had what was it? Biosphere with him
That
and Sterling
was
K.
fun.
Brown.
That was fun. I like that. That was so weird.
Oh, and well, nothing tops weird with Mark Duplass like Creep.
Oh yeah.
Creep and Creep 2. Bring on Creep 3. Oh no, he's what I heard is they're gonna try to turn that into a series. I'm like,
No,
oh my God.
really? Oh
Can I
man.
physically handle every week coming back to him doing demented things to a different human being?
Right? So good.
Crazy. But no, he's a really special actor, and I remember when I tried to watch the Puffy Chair, I couldn't find it anywhere.
Right.
Um, legally. So I hope to like circle back around and try to find it somewhere streaming or something
Yeah.
like that because I've heard really good things about it. I'm a fan of the Duplass brothers,
Yeah,
so
they're great.
mhm.
I think I first saw that back when Netflix was still you had to get the
The
DVDs.
DVDs. Yep, I had that up until the pandemic. That was
Whoa.
yep. That was some like most people didn't realize until like last year they were still doing that.
I had no idea.
And they still had like thousands of customers. And it's just like, and
Wow.
it was great because like it was one of the few places you could get certain films to be able to watch them. And it's just like
Right.
this isn't streaming anywhere, but Netflix has a DVD of it. So some of them you just had to wait a while. It's
Yeah.
just like 50 people later, finally get that disc.
Uh,
Now, speaking about what's a film that you feel like that you could watch literally just every day?
so there is one movie where I did that for a summer. It was just I just turned it on like almost every night, and it
Uh-huh.
was David Wayne's Role Models with Paul Rudd. It just crude
Kiss My
humor, but
Anthea.
yeah, I guess my but Lunesta and but just that movie just it was easy, but I just like David Wayne as a writer
Hmm.
and everything that he's been a part of back, I I remember when I first like realized, and then I was like watching Stella, and I went deeper. I'm like, Oh, the state, so I was just like dabbling in all that. So role models for sure. I think that was the movie that I could turn it on right now and just be hooked.
Paul Rudd is so funny and so charming and never ages. And I feel like that was like the bridge for Sean William Scott between like Stifler, which
Yeah.
like he is Stifler to a whole generation of people and will always be Stifler. And then he had role models, and now he's actually doing some different kinds of
Yeah, I was
things. And like, I'm a big fan of Goon. I think that's a really
mm,
endearing, fun movie. He even played the antagonist in the most recent Becky movie, where he plays like a leader of neo Nazis.
I didn't know that was. Oh wow, I've heard about that movie. I've seen it. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, because Becky has Kevin James be a leader of skinheads, and then Wrath of Becky has Sean William Scott
Oh my gosh.
playing.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know.
so it's like, why are you taking people from the '90s that one was is the King of Queens and the other is Stifler, and then turning them into vicious like murderers? And it
Right.
works. What was it? Welcome to Flack. Sean William Scott was on Fox, which was like this sitcom about this weird random like
I've never heard of
Midwestern
that.
town.
Wow.
I feel like that got canceled. I can't
There was
imagine
a
that it did
there was
get
a movie
canceled.
recently he did where like he was like a teacher or something like that. And he was I can't remember. I think it was like a
Trying to
thriller or
think,
something
but
like
like
that.
the combination of him and Paul Rudd was just so much fun
It was
in
so
Role
good.
Models. Role
Yeah, that whole
Models is fun.
cast. Yeah.
Well, and it's they go LARPing, they do it Kiss style, which like that's commitment.
Yeah.
Like you have this little nerd, and they're just like, you know what? We'll go full blown nerd with you, except we're gonna make you Kiss fans. So there you go. Now, what film connects closely to another interest of yours that you love?
So music is probably my biggest interest.
Okay.
Funny enough, for the last since the end of last year, I was in a like a hardcore punk band for
Okay.
like 12 years, and we toured a little bit and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
so if I had to pick a movie that I think that caught that idea pretty easy or good or realistically, I think was it's gonna sound crazy. Green Room probably had like just
Okay.
just that beginning where you're stealing gas and stuff like that. You're sleeping in the van and things like that. So Green Room, but then I think a lot of like the comical pieces of like this is Spinal Tap. If anything, that was our band. Our band was like the punk version of Spinal Tap. Like even to the point where in like the 11 or 12 years we played, we had like six drummers. Like we just it like they just
The
kept
drummers.
it's always the drummer.
I hope that your drummers did not come to strange random ends like all the drummers in
They did
Spinal
not
Tap.
explode. Yeah,
They
they did
had
not.
like he spontaneous combusted, or like he died in a gardening accident, and just so many random things. Oh, Spinal Tap is a perfect comedy,
It was
and
so good.
I feel like it just captures that essence of working in a group of people. Like obviously it's specifically music, but like if you work with a group of people long enough, you're gonna be like, you get it.
Yeah.
It's the dynamics and just like getting so frustrated on the job. Like that movie has so many great moments, like the the remote amp and picking up all the military communications or the PA system
Right.
or all the
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. And it's just like they put inches in not feet. It's just when the dwarf on stage can knock over Stonehenge and just I legitimately listen to their music because it's so
Oh
much
yeah.
fun. Uh, Tonight, rock me, rock me tonight. It's just like you only need one of them, or
Right.
of course big bottoms,
Right.
of course. Just
Just all
I,
base.
I'm like this. Yes, this legitimately would be a metal band. Like
Yeah.
the
Well, they are,
100%.
right? I mean,
They actually do tour because all of them actually play instruments,
that's true. Yeah.
and then they morph into a folk band for the Mighty Wind.
Yeah.
So,
I've only seen
which
bits and pieces of that one. I still need to see that.
I'm a big Christopher Guest fan, so I've watched Best in Show and A Mighty Wind a lot. And A Mighty Wind is so funny because it's like the turned down
Right.
version of this Spinal Tap because they're all folk singers and stuff like that. Still have crazy personalities, but they're all folk singers. Now, what movie character do you feel like you connect with on a personal level?
Ooh. So I when I first saw this, I immediately went to uh oh gosh, I'm drawing such a blank on his name in the character, but from Office Space. I think, but not necessarily the whole like trying to like launder or steal money and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but just just that ideal of like what is it, the whole scene about the case of the Mondays. Like I just feel like I live
Oh, does
that.
somebody have a case of the Mondays? Or just, I wake up every day and it's the worst day of my life. And knowing that when I wake up tomorrow, that will then be the worst day. And even the
So good.
therapist is like, God. It's just like, I hope to never get that depressed because of my job.
Right, yeah,
But
right
I can
there. But
guarantee you, all of us have a bit of him
oh yeah.
in us at work. Oh, I work at a college and I have a accounting degree and everything, and I'm just like Office Space hits a very specific place because I'm just like this could have been my life just working in an accounting firm. And poor Milton and his
Oh
stapler
yeah.
and Lumberg, jackass, Gary Cole, so funny, the whole cast.
Yeah,
Honestly, one of my favorite supporting characters in any comedy is probably Lawrence,
that's
his
awesome.
neighbor. It's like, no, no. It's like, has anybody ever asked you if you're having a case of the Mondays? No, 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 man. I figured like somebody would get their ass kicked for saying something like that.
Good way to get your ass kicked.
And Lawrence, what would you do if you had $1 million? Two chicks with this, two chicks at the same time, and even better, I would do nothing. It's like, shit, my cousin is broke as hell and he does nothing all day. It's just such a vibe because it all
Oh, it really
balances
is.
out. There are some days where I'm like, kind of wish like I just had like a day to go out and like dig holes, get some fresh air, just
Right.
do some manual labor. Not every day. My dad's been
No.
working construction since he was 15.
Oh wow.
It takes a toll.
Oh, I bet.
But no, I think we
Yeah.
all have a little heater.
And I,
You know,
I strive for him after the meditation. just just that even keel.
yeah, it's just like we we see some upper management potential here. Mm, I think I have to disagree with you. It's like, so what do you do? It's just like, oh, and honestly, my job's going through layoffs right now. I'm just like, this all
Oh
hits
no. Ugh.
hits in hits in an uncomfortable level
Mm.
of just awkwardness. Where it's
Yeah.
just like I'm just imagining the poor guy who's just like, people person. Which, to be fair, his job is literally just a paid middleman that does not need to exist.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like I feel bad for him, but like his job is not great. Now, what's film, Corey, that you love that you feel like would surprise people?
Uh, my one of my favorites, which is Serendipity. I
Okay.
love Serendipity, like too much, I think. Like, ugh, that movie is so that it's like gold to me. I love John Cusack.
Mhm.
Jeremy Piven is great. Molly Shannon's great in it. It's such a good movie.
I feel like John Cusack had such a streak for a
What
particular time where like between that and
like Gross Point Blank or High
yeah,
Fidelity and
High
stuff. Yeah,
Fidelity.
he went on a roll.
Mhm. And I'm trying to think. I watched. You know what's funny? I did watch Serendipity with my Netflix DVD service. I distinctly remember getting that DVD, and like it's a fun time, and just you know, those are the kinds of films where it's like it's fun seeing those little performances, like a Jeremy Piven, who
Yeah,
can legitimately be funny
right.
in the right role and stuff like that. And it kind of makes me sad. Like John Cusack's kind of like disappeared. Um,
Yeah, I
but
looked and it's been a few years since he's done anything.
mhm. But like that was such a great streak for him, and he's like I feel like he plays that protagonist where it's like there's similar to like Office Space. There's a little him in all of us.
Right.
Like obviously, like some of it's like we're not hitmen, or are we? It's like some of us would actually want to hang out and work at a record store all day. I think that
Right.
would be pretty cool.
Right.
For sure. And just like having those kinds of connections. But no, he's great. And who's the main actress in that? Again, is
Oh
it
gosh.
Kate
It is,
Beckinsale?
yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So it took me a second.
Also, probably one of my biggest crushes when I was younger.
Right.
100% because of Van Helsing. Um, but no, I
Great
really
movie.
love Kate Beckinsale, and you know, she's one of the few almost age appropriate women that Adam Sandler has been with in his movies. Looking at Click,
I forgot she was in it. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
yep. So, and honestly, I follow her on Instagram because she's ridiculously entertaining on social media. She's like, I have money and I live like it. And it's just a fun time.
That's awesome.
That's probably a film that Serendipity is probably a film I have to rewatch because honestly, it's at least been 6, 7 years since I had seen
It's
that for the first
it
time.
just it gets me in the warm and fuzzies, man. It's like destiny. Find your true love. Oh,
And sometimes we just need some of those warm and fuzzies
oh
in a
yeah.
world that's depressing
Right.
and people are just upset all the time. We need those warm and fuzzies. That's why I watch Shrek. Uh, now, my last question for you, Corey, is what do you love most about movies?
I think it's exactly that. Just finding those films that it sounds crazy and maybe again depressing, but it makes me
Mhm.
feel.
Yeah.
But just those, I think going in and just seeing the emotion that people can like write and
Mhm.
create in these movies is just that's what I love about it. Just being able to see those um, like the human stories and human elements, and just kind of seeing how others kind of maybe deal with like struggles or things like that,
Mhm.
and how they overcome them, and just know like and knowing like hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to like that's what I love about them. It's just that just those feelings of emotions that they can pull out of you.
Absolutely. And one of the best moments of watching a film is like when it surprisingly those emotions creep up on you. And I'm like,
Right.
I did not expect to feel this way watching this movie.
Right.
And sometimes it's some of our favorite movies that do make us feel that way.
Right.
That it's like it's why we keep going back to them. It's like we need a little bit more of
Right.
that feeling sometimes.
That was like when just recently when I went to go see Touch, right? It's like
Yep.
so I went in there and it kind of what we were saying earlier. It's like I was in there with two other people,
Yeah.
probably over the age of like 65. So it's just
Yeah.
me and these two couples. And I'm watching it and I'm like, come on, when's it like honestly, I was like, when's it gonna hit? right? And then finally at the like that third act, I'm like, oh my god, like I was just like oh gosh, this is amazing, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's like I feel like watching Daddy-O earlier this year
I need to see that.
with Dakota Johnson and Sean
Yeah.
Penn. There was a moment where I did not expect there because the whole film's their conversation in a taxi
Mhm.
cab.
Right.
And like I did not expect one particular place where this conversation went. I'm just like sitting at my press screening, just being like,
You're just breathing.
it's just like I wasn't ready for this. And it like I legitimately felt things, and it's just like, see, when a film can do that, that's something special.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Corey, I always like to wrap up my show is by letting my guests ask me a question. So, what
Oh
would you
boy.
like to ask the Wasteland Reviewer?
Oh man. Um, I feel like I know the answer. I know this is crazy to say, but
Okay,
um, so if you had to pick a soundtrack from a movie to like play for your life, what would you pick?
so are we talking like a score or
Ooh,
specifically like the soundtrack where they collected like a whole bunch of songs and stuff like that?
God, can we go both? Hit me with both
Sure.
if you got it.
Which the first one that came to mind for like soundtrack, like the songs collected, is the Big Lebowski.
Great.
Because like I could have endless Credence. Like I could just listen. Like I'll listen to my Credence tapes all day. But just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in is a vibe.
Oh,
And
that is such
like
a great song.
just imagine like it's so crazy that like Kenny Rogers is like, I hate this psychedelic hippie shit. I'm gonna make my own song. And then they use it for a hippie
Right.
in his drug dream that's going on. And then I love that Gypsy Kings cover of Hotel California,
Mm,
which is so great because like the dude hates the Jesus and he hates the freaking Eagles. So like Spanish language, Hotel California, just like that was like the perfect introduction of the Jesus in that movie. And then like the Bob Dylan
mm,
choice like songs too. It just all comes together in such a great way. And like, you know what? Sometimes I'm just vibing too. Like I don't smoke weed, but like and vibing sometimes with like looking out my back door where he's just like pounding on the hood of his car. And it's just like that soundtrack is like it would be a pretty cool way to go through life. So
right. Great.
and I feel like every time I'm driving to work, I am on Fury Road. And I'm just imagining like I'm just like the madness of everyday life. I feel like if I wanted to have a heart attack or feel like I was on adrenaline all day, I would live my life to the Fury Road soundtrack. Um, but honestly, if I had to pick any score and like listen through all over and over again, it might be Interstellar.
Ooh,
I'm a huge organs
solid.
fan.
Yeah.
And Hans Zimmer found those organs on Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and just did not let them go.
This
Yes,
is my personality now.
yes, he had the Kraken theme and the Davy Jones theme, which both hit hard. And you're just like, I'm gonna make this whole Interstellar soundtrack organs, and just it hits in a whole other level of emotion. And I
Love
feel
it.
like life would be more epic that way.
Right.
It's like I was this close and tempted to just pick Lord of the Rings, just walking around every day and just having like the Fellowship theme
I thought
playing
you
in
were
the
gonna say
background,
that. Dang it.
which that obviously could also be
That's
my
the runner up.
choice. And it's just like, who wouldn't want to walk around every day? Like I'm part of this badass crew of hobbits
Right.
and wizards and dwarves, and just like I'm just walking into like work and it's just like I feel like I'm climbing um like Mount Doom. It's just like yeah, it's a vibe, it's a feel.
Right.
So There you go.
Love it.
Honestly, if it makes my life feel more epic, we're going with that
Let's
one.
do it.
Let's do it. But Corey, thank you so much for your question, and thank you so much for coming on and chatting movies with me.
Thank you, Shane. This was awesome. Appreciate you having me.
A lot of fun. I appreciate it. And go check out Red Eye Films
Yeah.
and all the great stuff that Corey's doing, checking out films. Definitely a lot of like I have to start adding the movies that you're checking out, like these random like horror movies and stuff like that, to my endless watch
Right.
list. Uh, and check out some of them because like certainly some of them I've never heard of. So I'm like, well, add it to the list. So, but
Well, there was that one that Hell Comes to Frogtown. I've never
mm,
heard that, and I gotta say, I can't remember. Tubi all day, man. That's probably honestly probably one of the best streaming services because it feels just like an old school like mom and pop video store because you just
yeah,
find these random stuff. But that movie
I
alone is just insane.
heard Tubi's also a great place to find a lot of documentaries and like
Mm,
random. It's like I want to learn about this like mass murder that happened like 50 years ago in like Kansas. There's probably Satanists involved. Find it on Tubi. Which and that's the thing. Tubi's affordable, and I would gladly take your money, Tubi, so I could keep talking about you. Uh, so
make it
we
happen.
approve. Ads. But thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.